guys, good morning. It's June 2nd, 2023, and I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop, and today we're releasing part 4 of our Bountiful Charity Quilt Along. So part 4 you can now download for free at our Jolly Jabber blog or on the Fat Quarter Shop website. And we're going to be making 2 butterfly blocks. So I'm going to kind of show you what we're going to be making. You're going to make this block twice. There are going to be pairs of H and I. This is pair 1, pair 2, pair 3, and pair 4. And your fabrics are right here, but you might want to take a screenshot of this. It'll make it easier when you are making the blocks because you're going to make 4, 4, 4, and 4. But we're going to be making 2 identical blocks, which makes it super easy. And today we're going to be making a half square triangle here, adding corner squares. We're going to have corner squares here, and I'm going to show you how to use the It's Sew Emma square and a square paper for this if you're interested. So this block is, I would say, intermediate. It just takes a lot of time because you've got a lot of corner squares. This quilt finishes at 64 by 64. It features the Sun Washed collection by Corey Yoder, and it was designed by Corey Yoder. And we're almost to $60,000 in donations, and once we get there, we will be releasing a bonus table runner pattern. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a second, and we're going to start on page 2 and basically cut all your fabric, and just remember the pairs I showed you. So we're going to take a fabric H and a fabric I, and remember in your instructions right here, there are 2 navy H's, 2 pink H's, 2 light blue I's, and 2 yellow I's. And those are the pairs I referred to earlier. So we're going to take a fabric H and a fabric I, put them right sides together, and we're going to make a half square triangle, and we're going to trim it down. And so what I like to use is Creative Grids has this tool right here. It's CGR SMN9, and it's like you can mark 1/4 inches on each side. So to make it easy, I'm just gonna use this tool. I can't think of the name of it right now. Ashley will put it in the comments, and then I'm just gonna stitch on both lines and just make sure your fabrics are right sides together. Since we're trimming this down, I'm not gonna pin since I have a little bit of room. And I'm using like a 1.5 stitch length. So when I started this quilt, I decided to just press open just because that was kind of the mood I was in that day. So I'm going to be pressing everything open today. But what you can do is follow your arrows. And we're going to start by pressing this open. Now, we do have a dog ear clipper that you could use at this point, but I'm not going to use it because I'm going to press open. And you're going to see once I press open, and I'm going to have to cut all 4 sides, so I don't need to use this here. But you could if you're not going to press open. So I'm going to just press these nice and flat, press to one side. When you're pressing, just make sure your iron's right on that crease so you don't have a duck plate. And then I'm going to press open. And I'll put the little clapper on there. You guys can comment and let me know if you use a clapper. If you use a clapper, do you use one you bought from Fat Quarter Shop, or has your husband built one? And then you can let that clapper sit. And if you let this sit until all the heat is out, it'll be nice and flat. And you can actually, when you pick this up, you'll feel the heat on the wood. So from here it says trim to 5 inches square. So I'm gonna do that. And what I do is there are This Creative Grids ruler has a black line going this way. I'm going to put that there, but what I need to make sure is that when I trim, I'll have enough to trim this side at 5 inches. So you just have a tiny bit. And then I'll just trim to the other side. Now you're going to be making 4 from each pair. And like I showed you, there are 4 pairs. So you're going to make a total of 16 of these. I'm going to be demoing this one. So you're going to keep going and trim this one down. Now from here, I'm going to put it the same direction as the pattern. So I've got my navy and then my blue, and I'm following the instructions. I've got a fabric A and a fabric F. I'm going to draw a line on the wrong side. And here it's really easy to put the square on the wrong corner. So just be really careful with that. So again, I've got it laid out just like this. I'm going to put that there and that there. I'm going to go ahead and pin this one so I can save a half square triangle. And when I do this, I find if I use 3 pins, it works the best. And then this one I'm not going to be able to save because it's going to be too small, so I'll use glue on that one. So you can do whichever method you think is best. And again, we're going to be making 4 of these from every pair and then 16 total. So I'm going to stitch on the line. Okay, I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch away, and since this one uses glue, this one gets discarded. Since this one didn't use glue, I'm going to sew that with a 1/4 inch seam later, and I will have a half square triangle that I can save for the future. So on this one, I'm going to set my seam and press to one side. And I'm going to press open, and like I said, if you're going to press according to the pattern, you can just follow the arrows on that. And in June, we're going to be releasing a video on top 10 tips for better blocks. And it's going to kind of encompass a lot of the things I already do on the channel, but I think it'll be great for beginners. So from here, before I go on, I'm just going to make sure this is still 5 by 5. And it is 5 by 5 with a tiny bit right here. So I'm just going to take that little tiny bit off. Check the other side. So it's exactly 5 inches. So again, you're going to make 16 of these. And your small square is going to go here. And I'm going to pull this one because I made 4 of these also. So you're making 4, 4, and then 4 of the other 2. The other 2 pairs are here and here. So now what I want to do is put these right sides together. And when I do that, I want to really pin. So right here, I have them where I can see that they're going to nest, and I'm going to pin right there. And then I'm going to move over, pin right here. And then I'm going to change to a 1/4 inch foot, and I'm going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam across here. So you guys in the comments can let me know if you use a 1/4 inch foot, do you use a guide, how do you use your 1/4 inch? I've always used a 1/4 inch foot with a guide on it. So I'm gonna look, and that matches up and this matches up. So I'll set my seam, press to one side. press open. And anytime I press open, I also press on the front, back and front. So this is going to be your left wing unit, which is on page 2. Now you're going to move to page 3 and you're going to make a right wing unit, which basically is the reverse. And I've done that already and it looks like this. Now in between, we're going to make the butterfly body. So that is going to be our fabric K rectangle, and then we're going to use 4 fabric G squares. So I'm going to draw a line on the wrong side of those, and I will say these are the trickiest because they're small, and I think the smaller you go with half square triangles, the less accurate they become. So I'm going to show you how I try to make mine really nice. So I'll move these here, and basically we're going to be doing this. But you can only add one at a time. So I'm just going to pick 2 corners to do, and I'm going to use glue. And the reason I'm going to use glue is I'm not going to be able to save these, so it's just, I find it more accurate than pinning. Now some people will take this, iron it, and that will set the glue. The reason I don't do that is because I use the friction pin and I don't want my lines to go away. So just make sure on the front you can't see the green, and on the back you cannot see the white. You're going to go back to an open toe foot and stitch those 2. Then you'll trim 1/4 inch away. And then I'm going to press these open. So how many of you guys like corner squares? I did forget to mention we're not live today. This is pre-recorded. I am on vacation, which is much needed. I will say that. So I'm going to press this open. And then I'll add the other 2 corners. So this is like his little body or antenna or whatever you call it. And I really wish I would have found this glue years ago because it has been kind of a little life changer. Okay, so here I'm going to stitch on those lines again. Trim 1/4 inch away. We're going to press, and then I'm going to show you how you can square this off after you're done so it stays nice. So press to one side. But like I say, when they're smaller squares, you can see the imperfections more. And I can tell that's not exact. It's a little bit off, but I'm going to fix it. Okay, so when you look at this, if you put this ruler, and I'm putting it on this light blue because you can see it a little bit better. If you put your ruler on here, it's supposed to be 1.5 inches wide. Well, it is more than that. So I've got my 1/4 inch line here to touch my point, and I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to look on the other side and make sure that's straight, and that's actually straight. You want to make sure you don't chop off any of your 1/4" seams, but I can tell that this is messy and it needs to be fixed, because if you don't fix it now, it's going to look messy on your next batch. And this is why you're going to see I use the square and a square paper, because this is probably the I don't do the best on corner squares. Okay, so you're going to make 4 of these, 1 for each butterfly. Now we're going to make this butterfly, and I'm going to give you some tips. So here you want to make sure your big squares are here, your small squares are here, and right here, see that little bump? I'm going to chop that off so that it's straight. Now I'm going to take my fabric D rectangles and put them here. Now my tip for D is I have cut them bigger. So they're supposed to be 1.5 by 9.5. But so that I don't have to worry about lining it up and I'm going to trim it down, I cut it 10 inches, which is 1/2 inch bigger, and 2 inches, which is 1/2 inch wider. So I just cut it bigger. And when I do that, that means I can just lay this down and I don't have to line up the top or the bottom because I'm going to trim it off. Now I do want to make sure it stays flat, so I'm going to pin that. I'm going to pin this to this side. Now this one you do have to line up. And then I'm going to just lay this on top here. And I'll show you how you can trim it down. Now this is something new, well, maybe not new, in the last couple of years I've been doing, and it makes it a lot easier. Now it does waste fabric though. I'm going to switch back to a 1/4 inch foot. So here I'm going to set the seam. So you guys can comment and let me know, have you stayed caught up with the block of the month or the charity Quilt Along? Have you stayed caught up, and what collection are you guys using? Now here, you want to make sure that point right there matches and you didn't chop it off. So it looks like I might have chopped it off by 1/16 of an inch, but I think it's fine. Nobody will be able to see it. And here you're just going to put this right sides together and pin. Now it doesn't matter which side is on top. You can do whichever one is easiest. I prefer to have more of the seams on the bottom. It's just easier for me. And then see how this is wavy right there? I'm going to fix that when I go back to iron, because that just means this is not flat enough. See, that needs to be flatter. So set your seam. And here I'm going to fix this real quick by making it flatter. Press to one side, and that point is really nice. That point, it came out nicer. And then flatten your seam. So I love this block because it's so bright. It has lots of colors. You know, it's got yellow, pink, blue, navy, green. Okay, so this is our butterfly unit. And when you look at the pattern, it should be 9.5 by 12.5. So the first thing I'm going to do sorry, I have a lot of rulers. I'm going to cut this side first. Now when I cut this, I'm going to line up a line on the ruler here and here, and I'm going to trim. Now the one thing you want to make sure is right here, you don't want to chop off any of that. So I've got my quarter inch line right on that point. And you might cut off, you know, just a tiny bit. Let's see. I just want that to be nice and straight across there. I'm going to cut the other side. Do the same thing. Okay, now that should be 9.5 inches. And it is exactly 9.5 inches, so that's great. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to page 1, and my D was supposed to be cut 1.5. You take 1.5 minus a quarter inch seam. Oh, I'm supposed to press those open. Let me press those open real quick. I missed that. I guess in the end it doesn't really matter. Okay, so 1.5 minus a quarter inch should be 1.25. So I'm going to draw a line where the 1.25 inch is. Now the reason I'm drawing a line is I have cut things down too small before, and I want to make sure I don't do that. So this is like a double check. Now if I take a 12.5 inch ruler, which of course I could use just a regular ruler too, but I'm going to use this one. That should meet on the lines, meaning this line and this line, and it's a little, it does, but what I'm going to do is put that there, chop one side off, chop the other side off, and my block is exactly 9.5 by 12.5. So that's amazing. You're going to make 4 of these total, and that looks great. So I'm going to set this aside. And we're going to look at the bottom of page 3. We're going to start making leaf units. So you're going to take a fabric J rectangle, 4 fabric Fs. You're going to draw that line on the wrong side again. Now sometimes you can use, there's a cluck cluck sew tape you can use if you want to follow that on your sewing machine. I just have always just drawn the lines. But there are lots of methods to doing corner squares that you can try. So from here, it's going to be like this. But since they overlap, you can do 2 at a time. So I'm going to do these 2. Now this, I'm going to use the glue. I could save those, but they're kind of in between. Like, they're in between savable and not savable, so you can kind of decide, but these will be pretty small, so I'm just going to use glue. And I'm going to use an open toe foot stitch on the lines. Stitch on the line. 1/4 inch away. And same thing, corner squares, you know, set your seam, press to one side, press open, same thing over and over and over. This is my favorite block of the whole quilt, I will say, just because I like the amount of colors you can get out of this one. And you can tell I have glue on my finger because I've got fabric sticking off of it. And we'll do this last one, same thing. You can even use this dog ear clipper to trim 1/4 inch away. You're going to be making 4 of these units. These kind of go in the center of the block, so you're going to be making 2 for each block. And the nice thing about this one is the 2 blocks are identical, so it's a little bit easier to keep track of. But here, before I go on, this should be 2.5 by 4.5. And now Creative Grids has a 2.5 by 4.5 inch ruler. So what I'm going to do is put this on here. The biggest thing is I want to make sure that I don't chop the 1/4 inches off. And if you start trimming down before you go on, you will find your blocks come out a lot better. And usually at home, my stuff is not that, I don't have that much left over, but on camera, I don't do as good. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my fabric ease, put them on top. Now here, I didn't cut these bigger, but you could do that same thing where you cut longer and wider and all of that. It's up to you. But I just thought, well, I've already shown that once. I'll just do these normal. So pin this and 1/4 inch seam. We're gonna press, and then I'm gonna make a total of 4 of these, 2 for each block. And you guys will have to comment and let me know if you try that oversizing and what you think. It kind of takes a while to get used to it, and you'll probably have mistakes as you go with that. Like, it's one of those things that at first I thought, oh, this is really easy, and then I had to really get used to it. Again, set your seam. You guys can also let me know if you're pressing according to the pattern or according to pressing open, whichever one. I'm going to trim these little dog ears off too. So again, you're going to make 4 of these. Oh yay, now we're on page 4. So we're kind of almost done. But for this block, you're gonna need 2. So I've got my 2 done, and we're gonna go to this very center little posy. Okay, so you're gonna take a fabric L and 2 fabric F, and we're gonna be doing this step 1, and it's basically you're gonna be making 4 for each block. 1 goes on the bottom and 1 goes on the top of each flower. So here you need them to go this way. so that they kind of go inward. So I'm going to put that there. Put this here. And I'm going to do that real quick. And then I think I'm done with the glue today. So I am going to put the lid back on it. You don't want to leave the lid off or it will get clogged. If it gets clogged, you just put a pin and it'll unclog. But usually it doesn't clog for me. Okay, I'm going to press. You know what else I would love to know? What do you think of this year's Designer Mystery? Do you think it's about the difficulty level? Do you think it's easy or hard, or would you like something harder or simpler? Huh? I meant Charity. I don't know what I said, but I must have said the wrong thing. So just ignore. Okay, so here I need this to be 1.5 by 4.5, so I'm going to trim this. And again, when I'm at home, my stuff does not come out this bad. And so we're going to make 2 for each block. So those 2. So I'll put this here, and this here, and this here. Now, square and a square, you can do it the way that the instructions are, or I'm going to do it using my square and a square paper. So it's 2.5 inches unfinished. 2.5 inches unfinished is 2 inches finished. I'm going to take, we're going to make 2 of these, but you only need to make 1 for the video. So I'm going to see these little lines. I'm going to create creases with the add a quarter ruler. The pink one will give you better results than the yellow one. So this is the one I use the most. Now I will tell you, at home this weekend, I cut using this. I don't know why. Anyway, I cut a big old hole in it and I had to buy a new one. So you might not want to use this to cut. I don't know what I was doing, but it was not the best thing. So basically I have cut according to these instructions. So my center square is going to be the 1, and then these are my outer squares. So this one's 2 1/4 and these are 2 3/4. I'm going to cut this on the diagonal once. And basically what I did is I did this. Don't do it because it will ruin the ruler. It's not meant for that. Okay. So now I'm going to turn this over. Now since I put those creases, you can really see where everything goes. The first thing I'm going to do is put glue. Now this time I use a glue stick. If you use the other glue, it's going to kind of get on the paper. So I would not use this glue. I tried it. It's just too strong for this. So I would use a glue stick. Some people just use Elmer's glue from the grocery store, and that's fine too. It's up to you what you want to do. Now from here, before I go on, I'm going to crease this, pull it back, trim 1/4 inch away on each side. Now this side is meant to be cut on. So this one is meant to be cut on. It's just the other side you don't want to cut on because I had to buy a new one. And I probably had that ruler for years and years and years, so who knows why all of a sudden I decided to ruin it. So I'm going to do all 4 sides. This is just the way I do it. Now, I will say a lot of people do these all different. So you just find what method works best for you. So from here, I've got my white fabric right side up. And I'm going to do 2 and 3 first. So what I'll do is take these. I'm going to put the 2, I'm going to center it right sides together, and on the other side, I'm going to sew. What I'm going to be doing different is, you don't have to do this, but I prefer to stitch all the way across. It's not needed, that's why we don't have it on there, but that's just what I prefer to do. So I'm going to stitch all the way across that line, and then I'll add the other side. Now since I have paper, foundation paper, I'm going to turn my stitch length to even lower. So whatever you use, just stitch it, turn it 1 stitch lower. And then move this piece out of the way. Put the other one right sides together and stitch. Now here, I'm going to just press to one side. I'm not going to press open here. Now since I already cut that 1/4 inch seam, I can just do this because I already know where that seam is, or you can use a ruler. I like to just use my scissors. It works fine. Just kind of pull that up a little bit. You can even cut on the paper a little bit if you want. Okay, so now I have 4 and 5 left. So I'm gonna put these right sides together and do that same thing. Basically just eyeball it in the center, right sides together, stitch across that whole line. And I'm not gonna start right here. You can, but I like to start way out here because I like those threads to be cut off later. Sorry. Now here, I can't really set my seams. I mean, I kind of can. But your key here is this needs to be flat. Like you need to pull it and flatten it. If not, you're gonna have a big duck pleat. So like I said, this should be 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna take a 2.5 inch square ruler. And turn it over and put that right where it sits on the outside lines. And it's exactly 2.5. Now you don't have to use a 2.5 inch square ruler if you don't want to, because you could just cut on that outside line, whatever you want to do. Now here, what I'm going to do is pull the paper off. And if you have used a short stitch length, it should come right off, because if you start pulling and your stitches start coming off, that means not good. I guess it means your stitches could just come out. But you just pull the paper off. And the only part that has glue is the center part, and it should come right off. But if you, like I said, if you use the other glue, it won't. And then if you just do this, you can just dump this right in the trash so you don't have to make a mess. So we're gonna make 2 of those. Then from here, we're gonna build our posy. So you're gonna take this square and a square, 2 fabric M's, and basically this is what we're gonna be doing. So what I'll do is put these together, pin, both sides, and then we're just gonna sew with a 1/4 inch seam now. So we're kind of going, this one is a lot of 1/4 inch and square and square and corner squares. So this might be the world record of changing the number of feet in a video that we've had. Put your stitch length back to the normal. Set your seam. And then here, I'm just gonna press to one side. I'm not gonna press open. And then here, you just wanna make sure you're creating a circle and that you don't have it upside down, because that would look really funny. And you're gonna pin these. And sew with a 1/4 inch seam. And then all we'll have left is a couple of seams. I mean, I guess it is kind of a lot of seams, but it's all simple. Ow, look, I have pinned my finger. Ow, that hurt. Yeah. Does that happen at home? Yes, all the time. Okay, so here now I'm out of pins, so I'll have to switch my pins. And that I'm just gonna press like that. Everything else is pressed open except here, but I kind of figured since I didn't press that open. Okay, so now this should be 4.5 inches square. So I'm gonna take a 4.5 inch square ruler. And it's pretty darn accurate, but making sure I don't chop off those points, I'm just gonna trim around. And this is just gonna take any excess off. And it's gonna help it look better. Okay, so now we're at column 2. And we're gonna put these together. Okay, now, these are pressed open and these are not. So I don't like that. I'm gonna press these open real quick. So that's an example of change your mind in the middle and it's okay. I do it all the time at home. And so now that's going to go together better. So I'm going to put these right sides together. And since I've trimmed these down, you're going to see that this exactly fits. It's not a little bit off on either side because I trimmed them as I went. So you guys can try that and see if it helps you. It is an extra step, so it does, you know, add some time. I'm going to just make sure those seams meet up. Same thing here. Make sure they meet up. And then I'm gonna move this back, put this one here and pin that at the same time so that I can do both of them at the same time. So you guys, why don't you guess where I'm at vacation? You can guess where I am. And we'll see if anybody wins. I don't think anybody will win. Okay, so then I'm gonna sew with a 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to press this open. And here you just want to make sure you didn't chop off those little stem points. Okay, so here, I'm not going to trim the sides, but what I am going to do is I can tell that right here, there's a little hump there. So I'm just going to even it out. And then I'm going to take my fabric C's, which I've also cut a 1/2 inch taller and a 1/2 inch wider, same as I did with the other one. And the reason is I just want to add that and trim it down. And so I'm just going to put these together, and actually you don't really even have to pin because we're going to be trimming down. So I'm just going to add these. And then the trickiest part of this quilt is just making sure you have the right white facing. I feel like it's easy to reverse it. Press to one side, and then we're going to press these open. You could leave this one pressed to one side if you want. And I only have 2 seams left after I trim this down, so that's amazing. So this one is not hard, it's just a lot of pieces. And it's great to use your alpha biddies because that way you don't get them lost. Now what I'm going to do here is trim this side. Then I'm going to trim the other side. Now this should be 12.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to look. And it is a 1/16 too short, and that's fine. But what I need is I need this to be 6.5 inches, which is basically this. But I'm still going to use that same technique where I measure 1 1/4 inch away, because I can't tell you how many times I have made the mistake and cut it the wrong place. So I always do this even if I'm pretty sure I'm right. And if you look, kind of your double check is that should be about 1/2 inch too big. So I'll put this on here. I'm gonna make sure that is really lined up. Ignore my gray hair. And then I'm gonna cut one side and the other side. And this is now 6.5 by 12.5. Now all we have to do is put this here and then put our butterflies the right direction. So you've got your navy at the top and your yellow at the top. And you're just going to be following page 4 diagram. Now of course, you know, if you reverse it, is it the end of the world? No. But I'm just going to try to do exactly what this is. So this seam right here. Now you can see there's a little bit of waviness. All you have to do is pull it, find the center, and pin, and that will work itself out. Now it won't work itself out if you don't have the sides pinned. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to add this one. And I'm going to do the seams at one time. You could do them separately if you want, totally up to you. And this block is going to measure 12.5 by 24.5. It's release 4 of our 2023 Bountiful quilt. It's called Butterflies and Posy Blocks. And if you would feel inclined, you could definitely donate to our Make-A-Wish campaign. That would be totally awesome. I'm going to sew these last 2 seams. So set your seam. I'm just gonna press toward the white on here. And then I wanna just look at the back, and any seams that kind of went wonky, you just wanna get them flat. Do an all over press. And then the only thing I'm gonna do here, sorry, I have rulers all over the place, is I'm just gonna trim right here, just make sure that's nice and straight. And there is your block. So I'm gonna show you both of the blocks. They go in the bottom right and the top left part of the quilt, if I'm saying that correctly. And like I said, you're gonna be making 2 posies, 4 butterflies, but the good thing is you're gonna make 2 of each. So super easy to follow. Now this fabric right here is the Sunnyside Sun Washed Collection by Corey Yoder. I'm gonna show you some other collections and then I'm gonna show them to you all together. Our sample makers made this. This is Fruit Cocktail Collection by Fig Tree Quilts, Moda Fabrics. Teresa made these. And so she did the same thing with the backgrounds. The background she used is from the collection. It's just the 2045741. And of course, if you wanted to, and you wanted this quilt to be totally scrappy, you could have 32 different fabrics for the butterfly if you wanted to. So that is Fruit Cocktail sewn by Teresa. Then we have the Sweet Liberty Collection by Brenda Riddle of Acorn Quilt Designs. Angel made both of these. The background she used is color 98 Bella. And she did the same thing with just making them identical. She didn't make any color changes or anything. And my quilt at the end will be auctioned off. The next one is the Beyond Bella Collection by Annie Brady and Moda Fabrics. These were sewn by Riley. The background, this is the Beyond Bella. This is a Bella Solid color 263. And so she has a couple reversed. And then Sunnyside by Camille Ross Kelly, Carrie made. She used a cross weave by Moda as the background. And so she has the same, she followed the same colorway. So you can decide which one you like best. Now what I'm gonna get to show you is the May Sew Sampler reveal, because I'm so excited. I haven't got to show you April yet, but this is May. So we're doing the May unboxing, and we do have some May 2023 Sew Sampler a la carte boxes available if you wanna buy individually. So this is your Sew Sampler box. This is our insert. Now on the back, I can't show you, but there is a coupon back there. So that's why I can't show you. The theme this month is The Sweetest Thing. And oh my gosh, I love this box because, I mean, I do love the Fruit Cocktail Collection. So this is a junior layer cake of the Fruit Cocktail Collection. And in here, our bonus item are some enamel nail files. And I actually need these right now, so I might have to take some of these and use them. So this is just a bonus item. And then we decided to put in a different brand of thread than Aurifil. So we put in Metler, and we put in 2 different colors. Let's see. Color 2 and color 1. And so I would love for you guys to try the Metler and see, do you like it better? This is what I used to use before I started using Aurifil, but we wanted to put in some different brands. And if there are any other brands of thread you would like to see in the box, you can definitely comment and let us know. It also includes a pistachio sweet and sharp macaroon, and this is great for quilting or cross stitch. So basically it'll hold your needle, but not only will it hold your needle, I'm gonna try to find a needle, is it can sharpen your needle. So what you do, these are some of my needles. You can use it here for, it sharpens your pen. So you can use this for pins or needles because inside is a nylon blend that's going to sharpen it. Now this is not a magnet, I thought it was, but you can use this to hold your cross stitch needles or anything, but it will sharpen them as you keep it. So this is actually really useful. And then our pattern is called Mikasa Quilt Pattern. It's so cute. It's designed by Angel, and it has a cute little house and some big pieces. So this one we really like because it's easy. It uses this, you just pull some background from your stash, but it's really easy. You could probably make this in 3 hours. And it's 58 inches square. And we used on our quilt the green binding. I'm going to show it to you in a second, but you could use any binding you would like. So that pattern. And then we got a lot of requests for this Angel Gold thread cutter pendant. So one question we get over and over is, if you're on a plane, can you take your scissors? You can. Or you can put this on a necklace and you cut your threads right here. I'll show you how to do it. Let me open it. And then I'll show you how you cut your threads. So this is what you can do if you're too scared to take basically you just do that. So this is a great tool. You can just leave it, you could actually leave it by your sewing machine, take it on a plane, but this is made in Japan, are really cute. And then our pressed flowers, we have block 2. So I'm going to show you everything, and I love the notions in this one because I can use all of them. So this is pressed flowers number 2. Really cute. We are sold out of the quilt kits, but we will be showing some different color options from different collections if you missed out on pressed flowers. We have actually, in all the years we've done this, never sold out of these kits. So for everyone who's upset, I apologize, but based on prior years, we would have never sold out. So sometimes things just become super popular that we weren't expecting. So this one kind of was a sleeper. That's what we call something that just seemed like it was going to be a, you know, an okay seller, and then it went crazy. So that's what a sleeper is. I'm going to show you the quilt. It was made by Adela. She works in our kitting department, and it was quilted by Joanna Marsh, and she did a really cute pantograph with hearts. And like I said, we used the green binding. So very beginner, very easy, and I just love this house. You could do this house and just do the house. So cute. I love this pattern. And then that's the backing that Adela put on the back. And then we're going to give away 3 of our leftover May boxes. So you have until June 6th to enter, and Ashley will post the winners. But what I want to know is, from here in this box, what is your favorite item? I would have to say mine is probably the macaroon, but I'd love to see what yours is. And just a reminder, I'm going to be on vacation next week, so I will be gone next week, but you can watch a previous video because I have done so many videos. And I will miss you guys, and I will be back soon. I hope all of you are having a great start to your summer, and I'll see you soon.